Hello everyone, it's Javiera Bizama from section 2, and this is my first task presentation about socio-emotional learning. In this presentation, I will explain the relevance of socio-emotional learning and its impact in the Chilean context today. Also, I will connect the reality observed in my IELVI center with the theoretical framework studied through this unit. And finally, I will propose a way of applying this knowledge through a practical intervention. So, first of all, why do we need to study socio-emotional learning? So we are living in a stressful world where young children and even adults are coping with new emotions that we cannot ignore anymore. An example of this is our current Chilean educational system. They only care about the students' results and that their students are producing something instead of paying attention of how is the learning process that they are going through. But socio-emotional learning proposes some tips, activities, and methodologies to solve that. So, what is socio-emotional learning? According to Castle, is a process through which children and adults acquire and effectively apply the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. In more basic words, it's a process of learning social and emotional skills, and it's also important to highlight that it's as important as learning to read, for example. Also, students' success in school and work and in life, and students learn to control their emotions and behaviors. By acquiring social-emotional learnings, they also will be able to have empathy and show care for others, solve problems effectively, make responsible decisions, and also to maintain healthy relationships between the peers that they have. For example, of maintaining healthy relationships is that the students become active listeners in order to have an effective communication. So here we have some of the benefits that social-emotional learning brings. The first one is that they recognize what is happening inside them. They also are aware of their emotions, and this leads that they are able to deal with strong emotions and impulsive behaviors. That is to say that it helps the students to stop, take a breath, and think before acting. On the other hand, students learn to identify others' emotions and perspectives by showing empathy and compassion with others. On the other hand, students learn to solve problems in peaceful ways and communicate assertively about why they need or they want. This helps them to get along with other students and get the help that they need from adults. And when children are able to take good decisions, things can turn out better. So, why social-emotional learning belong in schools? From my personal point of view, I think that it's not too difficult to think about how social-emotional learning will be implemented in the schools. The first thing that we have to take into account is that school is a place where students increase their social interactions, challenges, and opportunities for personal growth, or at least that is what is expected to happen in a school. And the reality is not like that, but in fact, social-emotional programs can promote academic achievement and positive social behaviors and reduce conduct problems, substance abuse, and emotional distress. This was taken from the Pennsylvania State University, just in case if you want to know. So in sum, students who participate in CEL do better academically, have improved attitudes and behaviors, and they also act in delinquent and disrupting behaviors way less often. So actually, I have been evaluated this in the IELVI center that I am attending to. Currently, I am observing classes at San Ignacio del Bosque School, which is a private school located in Providencia. Because of the high income that they receive, they have quality resources in their classrooms. There are 30 students per classroom, but the English class is divided into 3 groups, so they have 15 students per classroom. Also, because of the high income that they receive, they have special people in charge of disrupted students. So teachers do not face disrupted students. This is how the classroom looks like. And the first thing that we can observe is the arrangement of the class. As you can see, students are seated into groups, which means that they are always sharing each other, they are always discussing. And another thing that we can infer from that is that the environment is prepared in order to create supporting climate among the students. So that is why students talk each other and they are always discussing, because of the climate is supported like that. And from the point of view of neuroscience, this student arrangement is very, very beneficial for them because of the mirror neurons that start working in the brain, so they can develop empathic skills. Yes. Another important thing to highlight, or aspect to highlight about San Ignacio Bosque School, is that activities are focused on the interaction of small groups, as I said before, and the courses are planned around language learning through communication. So as you can see here in this picture, students were learning to tell the time. They were expected to work in groups. So this is also beneficial because students there were learning to take in turns, for example, or to communicate in an effective way by taking turns. Another positive experience that I have observed in San Ignacio del Bosque School is that they practice mindfulness. There is a class, a third grade, that always comes very disruptive from the break. So in order to calm them, the teacher practices mindfulness at the beginning of the class. They put in practice something that they call the rest position, which consists of students put their head in their arms like this, and they are like from 5 to 7 minutes like that, and the results are incredible. I have witnessed that the students before doing mindfulness are disposed to learn. This can be supported by this author who in 2012 claimed that mindfulness is a way of returning to normal, can help children lessen their anxiety and improve their attention in the classroom. Also, I have witnessed of the social emotional strategies that San Ignacio del Bosque School use. I can still be able to identify some aspects that they have to improve. For example, study strategies tend to be applied only to students groups, or like to the classroom management in general, but they avoid the personal conflict resolution, like students face-to-face, because they are relegated to encargado de convivencia, as I said you before. Let me clarify this with a real-life situation that I observed. So a third grade student was answering an English test when he got frustrated, so he started like to scream and to kick the table, cry, and the teacher ignored him. In order to downplay the situation, to do not disturb to the rest of the class, so the teacher called to encargado de convivencia to take him away, and encargado de convivencia removed him from the class and continued with the test. My personal perception about this example is that we as teachers, we need to be able to deal with impulsive students, and I think that it's necessary to do not ignore them, for example, because we as teachers, we need to be the first one in charge of controlling or influencing their behaviors, because we are models. So in that sense, mirror neurons are also going to start developing and start acting in students. So in that way, I suggest to deal with the conflict by our own. Yeah, because we as teachers, we are considered models to our students. So in that way, I think that it's very important that we need to show the students compassion and empathy, so that mirror neurons can also start developing. In order to show compassion and understanding in our students, I will suggest to use these phrases. For example, I would like to know why I did to make you so mad. However, using that language is not helping. So why don't we talk it after the class? For example, I can see you are angry, but throwing chairs doesn't solve anything. Let us use words to solve this after class. Wow, you must be very angry to talk with me like that in the class. I'm not sure how to respond, so let's meet later to discuss. So as you can see, these phrases show empathy with the students. I know how you are feeling, I know your feelings, but we're going to treat you like this or like that. But everything starts like by showing compassion and your understanding to your student's situation. Another option will be to take advantage of the situation and uses it as an opportunity to discuss about emotions in the class. Do not remove the student from the class. Do not ignore them. This is very important and the most key aspect of it, because other students can also learn from that experience. So we need to influence their students' behavior by asking this kind of questions. For example, what happened? So the students can recognize and be aware of the emotions of the student. And a second will be, how can we help him? In that way, you will be developing and fostering a student's empathy. In conclusion, from the theory recalled and the experiences provided, we can affirm that social-emotional learning makes a difference. Social-emotional learning can help to improve the overall quality and the character of the school life, and that social-emotional learning is not a luxury. Because as I told you before, even though I have observed and attending to a school with a high income and with quality resources, that doesn't mean that they cannot, or that a school from low resources cannot use social-emotional strategies, because all teachers can apply social-emotional strategies by implementing activities or methodologies in the teaching practices. So it's not something that we can take advantage because of the payment of the school or because they have the resources. All teachers are able to apply it. Here we have some of the references used, and that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.